Legend. Welcome to the Speaker Podcast, episode 4 now.
Yeah.
Moving right along. It's been pretty successful,
All right.
at least in my opinion.
We're live.
I enjoy talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so we've covered a bunch of different stuff in the leading up to all this. Witch Queen's been great, which I feel like because we have somebody who's watching, I know for a fact hasn't finished the story yet, so I'm giving him one more week, and then we talk about the story. So
Perfect.
next week we dive into the story. I'll keep the raid stuff spoiler free for the most part. Like everyone, it's all over on the internet. Who the final boss is. I will go ahead and just like, oh, this is what it is. But I won't go into deep detail on like all that stuff. Plus, all the lore behind it is so incredibly interesting.
Amazing.
If that's something that our viewers want to see or hear us talk about, I'm down to do a deep dive on the lore, and then Legend and I can go back and forth on that kind of stuff because that to me is like what makes the extra part of the story real. You don't actually get to see all of this stuff that goes on behind the scenes with some of the stuff that happens in Destiny, but it's a very rich history and lore that they used to be hidden behind Grimoire cards. Now it's definitely more accessible. There's a guy on YouTube who every single time more lore comes out, he just keeps adding to one video, and I think it's like up to like 10 hours now of just straight lore, and it's excellent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on the subject for today, like the beginning half of today, because we do have the TWAB to cover and stuff, we wanted to talk about our raid experiences. My team said from the start we were going to go do 24 hours. And for the most part, day one, because it was 24 hours to start, we went through and did, I think we stopped at 4:30, almost 5 on Saturday into Sunday. And then on the Sunday, we stopped at 7:30 a.m. on Monday. Thanks, Raven. Appreciate it. So that's kind of where our thing ended up. What about you, Ledge?
Man, we went in initially with the idea, and the guy that kind of set all this up. I say the guy that set it up. I'm trying to get the comments pulled up right here. I say the guy that set it up. Myself and another one of our friends were kind of setting it up, and then our actual clan leader just kind of bopped in and suddenly took charge of it, and now it's his project, of course. So, but no, it wasn't bad. We kind of had it set that we were gonna give it like a good solid 12 hours, and that we were going to do that, and we were going to, we weren't going to like try to. I mean, we would try to figure stuff out as we went, of course, and that we were pretty successful for a while. But we said like we weren't going to put any limits on opening up a stream and watching, like ASTRO or Glad or Dado or something like that. Right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Or even you. I was tuning into your ears for a while. Mainly because the guys just kept wanting to know, like, are we still ahead of them? Like, what's going on with them?
Yeah.
So that was going pretty well. And about an hour in, one of the people that we were doing this with said he had an issue with his internet, and he had to drop out. And then the person that was helping us that joined in with him said, "Well, I was going to do this with him, so can y'all find two people?" So it went to doing the entire thing with LFGs, and that was not fun.
Right.
Because something like this, you want to go in with people that you know and trust.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. Not to say that those guys were particularly bad.
Right.
But not like day one people. Right?
Yeah, like it's not people that you could fall back to on like their personal set of skills. Like you haven't played with them, so you don't know like do they use spam abilities all the time? What's their build look like? You've never played with them, so that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it was interesting. Kind of a bummer. We got past the first part and ended up on the caretaker, and By that point, my wife got home, and the guys were still wanting to go, but she was ready for bed. So I was like, guys, I told her I was going to give this 12 hours. It's been 12 hours. So, but by that point in time, we got the message from Bungie on Twitter saying that they were extending it by 24 hours.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of issues. It launched without a hitch. Okay, it went
Right.
live
Yeah. Absolutely.
initially without a hitch, but it didn't take long for people on PC specifically to start having
Was it a
errors.
guitar?
Guitar, Anteater. There was a couple, but Guitar was the prominent one, and just having server issues. And whenever they would get like logged off, like they couldn't just immediately log back in. Like they would have to reboot all of their stuff to log back in. It was a really big issue. So, and also, mind you, like they made it very clear, like if you don't, Dirty just commented Weasel. Weasel was one of the big errors too. Yes, thank you, Dirty.
Is that on our YouTube or is that in our?
That's on our YouTube comments.
Let's stop popping up.
And it like, so if you like if you like back out of an encounter or something like that, you know, like, and I guess if it's completed without you, I don't know, but you don't get credit for that. You know, you don't get credit for World's First, and so that's a big deal for some of these guys. So they extended it an additional 24 hours, and I think the team that got it done, Team Elysium, and we'll cover this in the 12 talk. Team Elysium, they got it done. That's Salted Greppo, our Titan friend, Blood. He lives by this guy. Like, he loves this guy. He watches all of his videos all the time.
Yeah.
I've never really watched his videos, but yeah. So
this guy is definitely an up and coming star because he and his team also got the Deep Stone clear.
Yeah, they got the.
They sniped it out from everyone else. Yeah.
And
everyone was on that final encounter, and they nailed it.
And they were like
wow.
They were like Team 2 on Vault, you know.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, they were real close.
Second place, and it was frustrating, but you know, and then the day after that, like I planned my day to do that on Saturday, so I couldn't just jump back in on Sunday, and some of the guys were kind of salty about that. I know. I was like, guys, I'm sorry. I you know, family, I made these plans for this day, and you know,
and that is rough.
Yeah.
Especially because like there was no way of knowing we were going to get that extra 24 hours to run, and if I hadn't prepped everything the way I did leading up to doing that 24 hours, like I was very lucky that my wife had off the next day. I was very lucky that I had prepared a bunch of food so she didn't have to cook. There was a number of things that kind of just lined up. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do it because I only committed for 24.
Yeah,
I didn't know if I could do the 48. So does that kind of encompass everything for you?
I do want to say, like, overall though, very pleased. Very pleased with it, and we'll talk more about actual like completions. We'll talk more about the actual raid, I guess, at a different time. Right now, I think we're just specifically kind of covering day one stuff. It was, I'll be honest, at first, like before getting inside of the ship, it felt almost too easy at first. Like we really like we were going in, you know, and you know you defeat the Ghost of Savathun, and then you know all the Scorn, and then you take the Sparrow Maze or whatever, not Sparrow, but then you have to follow
to get your exotic glaive, that mission you have to do, that is the opener for the raid. It's a little bit more of a watered down version, but that new mission that you can do after the raid was finished, that mission opened up for everyone else.
Right.
So the first encounter of the raid is that new mission. Gotcha. So anyone who's done that mission can kind of follow along with what we're saying here. It's the same thing. You kill that Savathun, you get on your bikes, you ride to the payload, and that payload doesn't move until you get all of those little buffs on the ground, bring them over, and the payload moves.
Right.
It is a little bit more of an intense thing for the actual raid, but I mean, it's not that bad because you have 6 people making callouts. You're fine.
Right.
Aesthetically, this raid was gorgeous.
Yeah.
The scale of this raid was outstanding. Just the first area alone, once you get into the ship, you're like, oh, it's this tiny little ship. No, they let you know really quickly that this ship is flipping massive. It mind-boggling. And when you go into that first mission, you can kind of see that all too. The difference between the raid and that mission is there's a bit more ominous feeling to it,
Yeah.
because you're going in after everything's been killed, and you're just going cleaning up the remnants.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that first room, even like it's so ridiculous. Like they're collecting something. They're taking apart something, and it's really cool, like to listen to that lore, and then to later on find out what that all was. Is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll talk more about the actual raid and like the aesthetics of that stuff later, and even just like some of the encounters we had with it.
Yeah.
So my take on everything was, our team was ready to go. We dropped in together. We had somebody give one of our guys on our team came up with the most motivational speech that he played some rap music to. It was really funny. We jumped in, we cleared the first encounter. We'll clear the first area, get into the first encounter. Right as we were about to start the first encounter, we got guitarred. Had to do the whole thing again. Wasn't that big a deal. Get back in there. And then that was when the learning curve began. Had a hard time figuring out like some of the symbols. Luckily, that first room that you walk into tells you everything you need to know. Like, that's amazing. We get in there. It took us maybe about 3 hours to get that first room done. And that one we did blind. We did it to the very end. We had figured out almost everything. And that was when we pulled up raid report. Like, okay, what are we doing? And then we just knocked it out. Second room, definitely a bit more challenging. Took us a little while to find our groove. Even now, after looking back, we did a lot of stuff wrong. We didn't realize we were doing stuff wrong. But I think that room took us maybe 4 or 5 hours.
Something about the caretaker?
Yeah, caretaker. So about 4 or 5 hours later, we finished room 2. And then we got stuck on room 3 for the longest amount of time. That one definitely took us about 7 hours. And that was where we had to call it for the night. That room alone kicked our butt because there was so many little things that you don't plan for. And that was the big thing that bugged me. So that room is all about moving quickly. You have about 2 to 3 minutes each time you run into these different rooms to do what you have to do and get out. And you have relics that you have to coordinate with as well. The problem was we weren't coordinating those relics. We weren't saying who picks up what. We're like, this person for sure is picking it up in room 2. Well, what about the other rooms? Well, just pick one up. Like, well, we need to plan that. We never did. But that's just fine tuning it for later. So around 4:30, we stopped. This was well into knowing that we could go again the next day. Everyone agreed that we could get up about 10:30 to start again, which meant 5 hours of sleep for everyone. One of our teammates said no, he was going to stay on and jumped into an LFG group to try to get the raid finished because he wanted the whole clear. Nothing wrong with that. So the rest of us went to bed and woke up the next morning. We all get our message from the guy who stayed up late. He's like, "Oh, this is going to be easy clear, boys. We got this." That was at 7 a.m. We were all on and he wasn't getting up. So we just started spamming his phone, and that was about a half hour of us all trying to text him, call him, wake him up. Eventually we got him up. He jumped in. He had jumped with another team and done the majority of that one encounter we were on and had figured out the best strategy for it. It took us still several hours, but we got through it. I think it was like another hour and a half that it took us to get through that phase.
Yeah.
And again, lots of trial and error. There's a lot of things that we can still do even now to refine that run. Weapon loadouts, more calls for like how we want to do things, where we want to run, and then the final boss room. Final boss room, even after reading the raid report on how to do it, still confused us to a certain degree. But we were on that room for 13 hours. We had one of our guys drop about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And he was going to come back, and he did. We had someone else join up with us for a little while, and he ended up staying with us for the rest of the evening into the early morning. Couldn't get it. It was about 8 o'clock when the other guy joined back up with us. Still couldn't get it. We got really, really close. The boss fight itself was so brutal. Like, leading up to boss damage was okay, but boss damage itself, like, he would just kick you or he would run into you and just, it was over.
Kind of became a meme there.
Yeah, it was really funny. That's actually something I'll link the video. I'll link a video for us. I'll put it in our Discord of one of our guys getting kicked in the face. It was really, really funny. Um, we hit it from multiple angles. It was a really great video. And I'm being very vague about all this because we want to go into that deep, we want to deep dive into that stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
For now, this is just like our kind of feelings on it. So pardon me if I am being very vague on this. So eventually we get everyone together. We're running it. We had someone drop at 10 o'clock. He wasn't feeling good. He's like, I'm sorry, I have to be done. I have to work in the morning. Our next guy dropped at midnight, also had to work in the morning. He had to work at 5 a.m. And then we had to LFG people. Finally, I think it was about 2 or 3 in the morning, another person dropped, LFG'd, and this would be the group that we would almost finish with. We kept going and trying, and we had made it to, the boss has a health bar. And the new thing that Bungie's been doing is adding a final stand. So you have the massive health bar, and sometimes they'll cap it so it's like, oh, you have to do this amount of damage, and then the next immunity phase, and then the next immunity phase, and then so on. This boss is like, oh yeah, you can chunk him all the way down to that much. And then he has an immunity, then he has 10 seconds, and he'll kill you. And you have to knock out that much health in 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting. I think it might be about an eighth of the overall health, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not just like once you get to that final stand part, the raid's over at that point. Like that encounter's over. Yeah. You might be restarting it, but that's it. You have that long to get it done. And I think the problem was, especially on day one, people figuring out the proper DPS strategies.
Yes.
And again, the entire time you're doing damage to him, this isn't like Final Stand on friggin' Tanix, right? Or on Riven.
Riven,
right?
or
like,
on...
This guy is chasing you around and trying to murk you the entire time. So it's not... You know, we went in whenever we finally got it done, and I'm just, you know, I'm not giving away too much here whenever I say this. They wanted me to be on Divinity because, you know, I'm usually really good at using Divinity. But like trying to tap fire on him was nearly impossible because he's moving the entire time. So we're just like, screw it, just hold it, you know.
Hold the beam, yeah.
And so that's what we did. And yeah, it was interesting. It was cool. This boss is really cool. I want to share an image. This is not of my run. This is of Sam's run. This is that group that he's talking about.
So this was our final attempt. We had made it to the final stand at least 4 times. And we figured out that if we saved all of our supers, except for 2, we used a tether and a Nova Bomb to blow some of his final damage phase out, and we used weapons because we had Divinity on. And then we figured for that final round, we could all cut loose with our supers. Yep. And so the image is on screen. You can see how close we were. The boss, when he switched to final stand, went immune for 3 seconds. And that's all it took for 4 supers to hit him at the same time and for them all to come back as immune. 1 super hit him and we burned out everything else we had and he wiped us. That is the equivalence of 2 supers. A Thunder Crash, 2 Nova Bombs, of which we had when he was immune. That is how close my team was from getting the day 1 emblem and being able to say we finished in 48 hours.
Man.
At 7:15 in the morning on Monday, that is what killed us. After that, it kind of broke everyone's spirit.
Your morality.
I was tired. I was fighting. The sun was up, and I forgot that I had to go do inventory at work. In a few hours, and I was like, I might call my boss and just tell her I can't do it, and I want to run this again. But we were demoralized. Recovering from that close of a victory, hands are shaking. It's late at night. It's early in the morning. You've been up. I had 5 hours of sleep in between 2 days. To act, you know, to think and act rationally with the brain and everything, and you know. As you get tired, your reaction time begins to slow.
Yeah.
I had already had 2 monsters. I had a double shot of espresso in my coffee. I had taken Razor sells this really awesome energy drink. It's a powder that you put in water, and it it helps with the performance of the brain. It doesn't give you like heart jitteries. It's just like, oh, it helps you fire off in your head. Yeah, I was still dog tired, and that yeah, from 5 hours of sleep and then only playing games, it was demoralizing to see that, and that's what stopped us.
Yeah.
Um, After that, we called it quits, and then a few hours later, after reset, I think it was right after reset, um, we squatted up and we killed him in 2 phases, which excited me immensely and demoralized us even more because the amount of damage you're capped at. So to give you an idea, with Divinity and Sleeper Simulant, with high energy fire, and there's a mod in the raid that gives you, whenever you have a stack of Oppressing Darkness, you gain stacks of damage. It has to be up to 7.
Yeah.
Long story short, with all of these buffs in play, with a Sleeper Simulant shot on a critical hit, with Divinity and all these things proccing, at maximum my team was doing I think we were capped at 65,000 per shot. Even with firing line on a Reed's Regret, it was hitting about the same. In contrast, after that was over and contest mode was off, that same shot with the same amount of buffs was landing for 165,000. The damage output was insane. I have actually seen teams already one face him with different strategies, and it really puts into perspective how much your power level really caps you. We all went in there, and there is a power cap regardless of how high you actually get. Your power level can only go so high without them capping it. But that was, it put it into perspective on how difficult a day one can actually be.
Right.
So all that being said, I think for next year when they come out with the next one, I'm still gonna go for it if I can. King's Fall is going to be coming back to us very soon. They teased at 2 big raids from Destiny 1 coming back. Now, if you were to think back, all the big raids that happened in Destiny 1, Crota was not a big raid. It was a short raid. Love that raid, by the way. It was not long. It was very short.
It was almost a strike. Like, it was just like a long strike.
Yeah. If you, with all the different mechanics, if your team knew what they were doing, you could run in and finish it in a half hour.
Yeah.
It was not that hard. Especially if you didn't have to explain what you were doing, because it was the Lantern Walk, the bridge, the Death Singers, and then Crota himself, and you were done. Definitely felt like a long time when you were in there, but nothing on the scale of Vault of Glass. Vault of Glass was very long.
Yeah.
You made you run more, had to do different things. King's Fall really came into its own. King's Fall was big. It had massive jumping puzzles. The encounters were more complex. It was an outstanding raid. Wrath of the Machines. Wrath of the Machines was also another one. There was a lot of scale to it. There was a lot of depth to it. There was unique encounters that we still haven't seen the likes of it back. Like the first encounter we're like shooting the second encounter we're shooting the monitors, and then hiding in the different rooms. Like that kind of came back when we had the first Riven fight. The Riven, but like I think it was a Kale was the first one, because you just stand on the platforms, then you run into the different rooms to hide. That kind of felt the same, but not really. So those are the 2 raids that they've hinted that are coming back. One of the 2 of them is, and I feel like it's going to be the Taken King raid.
King's Fall.
Thank you. I literally just said it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But because in the storyline, Oryx is in it. Like they've talked about Oryx. There is the entire strike, the Light Blade, is a shrine to Oryx. The little lanterns that you run up to, that was Crota's opening encounter, which I love that they threw that in there. It's so great. But yeah, so being able to do King's Fall again will be an amazing opportunity. There's going to be a raid race for that. Gonna do it. I know that raid very, very well. That was actually one of my favorite raids in Destiny 1. Hit that one and Crota's. Those 2 were my favorites in Destiny 1. Looking forward to doing that, and just kind of being there again in Destiny 2 is going to be an experience of its own.
Yeah.
So that being said, to prepare for the next raid race, these are just a couple of thoughts that I've had along the way, just with doing the day one for this new one. My advice, if you're putting together a team, you definitely want some people that will have your back. And what I say by that is, have your fire team go with you. At the end of the day, you need people that play alongside you the most, because if you don't know the people that you're playing with, or like, there's nothing wrong with LFG. That is actually a way up that I was able to get my title in the game. I got the blacksmith title from LFG. But for day ones, you definitely want somebody beside you who you know what they're going to do. Like our squad. When the three of us do nightfalls, we're missing one of our squad mates. He's in the chat right now. Bloodbane. Whenever the three of us, we would go do stuff. When one of us would go down, like if Ledge would go down capturing a point or doing something, immediately a healing grenade was thrown by me. Our Titan ran in there, shield was up, and we did it without even thinking. That's just the three of us play that well together all the time. So to have your squad and have your back, super big. Another thing, time management. Be prepared to be there for the long haul. It is not a quick day one thing. The funniest thing that our clan leader has said was when VOG just came back, he's like, "Oh, we'll knock this out in 45 minutes."
Power
No.
cap again.
Power cap is a huge thing. Also, they added new mechanics. It is not the same raid.
It's not. No.
It's different, and it's meant to be different. I fully expect King's Fall to have some new mechanics, and that excites me. Bloodbane said, when everyone moved to Borderlands, I stayed and looked for groups and LFG, helping people get their clears. So Bloodbane is, he has extensive knowledge on how to get King's Fall done, and he and I even did a bunch of the hard mode clears. And then even when they were closing out Destiny 1 and they were doing like the goodbyes and everything, you could get some of the guns adapt that were exotics. I still have them, and I love those guns. I love the way the armor looked. It was amazing. But be prepared to be there for a while in these raids. Don't expect it to be a quick run. Like, even the top streamers that went in with a fully loaded team, they spent like 4 or 5 hours in this new raid. Even once you know what you're doing, it's still going to take time.
Salta Grippo's group Elysium, it took them, it was what, a 9-hour clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone starts at the same spot. Vaulted Glass was a little different because it was a reprised raid, but if you wanted the world first clear, you not only had to beat the first raid with the same team and then go back into it, and then you had to do challenge mode. You had to do every encounter with a challenge. But they did not tell you. You had to figure out the challenge, and if you failed the challenge, it wiped your team. That's an experience. My team, well, yeah, we were in it together. Our team didn't make it that far. We had several people fall out. It didn't work out very well. Long and the short of it, we made it to the Gorgon maze.
Yeah.
That's past encounter 2.
Yeah.
We made it into encounter 3 and didn't finish.
Well, technically, that's. Yeah.
Because door technically is one, but it's not.
Yeah, I hear you.
But you have door, you have complexes, you have oracles, and then the Gorgon maze, which is just an encounter that you run past. You have gatekeeper, then you have Atheon. So 2 of those don't even necessarily count. They don't count the door, and they don't count the Gorgon maze as official clear areas. So we did good for a day one of a raid we already kind of knew what we were doing.
Right.
About 2 or 3 of our members had never finished Vaulted Glass and D1, so it was a little different.
Me, yeah.
So have people that you know, if you can. If not, and you want to LFG, start looking for LFGs now, or just find some friends that you want to do it with. Time management, make sure that you are able to spend adequate amount of time on each encounter. Other one is understand that it's going to be frustrating. Especially with a new raid, like going into it, not understanding it, you need to be in a mindset where you're okay with listening and learning or figuring stuff out. If you're not good at figuring stuff out, that's okay. Raid report is a thing. If you're not going for like the world's first belt, just a clear is great. That's something I'm still working towards, and I've been doing this for a little while. Raid report, there's lots of streamers that play. Don't be afraid to to look to others to kind of understand what you need to do,
For sure.
and then be okay with everyone sharing their ideas at the same time. Tensions can run high, feelings can get hurt, nerves can get touched. It's par for the course. But that's why it's important to go with your friends, because you can work better with friends than you can with someone random on LFG who might just straight up leave.
And I want to say something about that too. Like, one thing about having friends that you're doing it with, you know, you're also helping to strengthen your like, I guess your sense of moral there. You know,
Yeah.
like prevent yourself from getting demoralized so easily on some of this stuff, because it can happen, and it will happen,
Yeah.
because like for me, I'll be real, like even worse than day one for me was the other day. I went in, everyone's like, hey Ledge, come raid with us, and I was like, all right, cool. And I hopped on my warlock, who I haven't even started the campaign yet, so my warlock is at 1350. I'm leveling up as I'm going along, you know. And let me tell you, it was hard. It was hard. It was demoralizing for me, because like I just kept dying. You know, I just like felt like I was a detriment. But we made it work. We got through it, and so it's good to have people that you are friendly with, that are friendly with you, that know you, that somebody that you can laugh with, you know, because. You know, had that been, I do know for sure a few people in our clan who, if I was doing that raid with them, they would have, you know, they might have said, come on, Legend, come on, man, come on.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't really let things get to me that much, but, you know, still, I'm not you, you know, or whoever's watching, you know, just take it easy and try to find people that you do know. And if that's not possible, then again, sure, LFG's fine. Jumping in with some clan mates that you know that maybe you're just looking for another person, fine. But try to do yourself a favor, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And honestly, like how Legend was saying, you know, doesn't let things bother him. You're gonna be in there for a while, and the same joke can wear you down. You start running low on sleep, one starts to get stressed because you're on the same encounter for the 4th hour. It just a lot of things play into this. But it's okay. A game is meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyed. If you feel like this is causing you too much, you know, distress, then just stop.
Yeah.
It's okay. Because you know what? In 24 hours, the contest mode's going to be done, and you can go through and just sail through with ease. There's going to be tons of raid guides.
Which we did. We all did.
Yeah. No. Oh my God. Yeah. We all. So to be perfectly honest, it was very therapeutic. To kill that final boss, because of how many times he smacked me in the face and just completely one-shotted me, ruining runs, and it just to be able to go back and almost one phase him was just a shot of whatever I needed.
100%.
So on top of all that, make sure that you. So we have time management, we have get some friends together. I wouldn't say temper your expectations, but be okay with being in there for a while, and then take breaks. You're in there for the marathon. You're not in there for the sprint. I'm gonna be real with you. A lot of big teams go in there stacked up with great players, and they finish quickly. If you're in there for the sprint, by all means, push it as hard as you can. But I'm speaking for me personally. I'm there for the marathon. I personally do not think that until all of our squad, you know, levels up in a bunch of different areas, are we ever going to hit that world first belt. I'm just being real with myself. I know that I probably can't commit to being a world's first. But you know what I can do? I can commit myself to trying and getting that first clear to make it in that 24 hours. So I'm there for that marathon. What does that mean? Eat. Take breaks. Make sure you're drinking water.
Yeah.
Being dehydrated greatly affects your attitude. Greatly affects your mood.
You'll get a headache real easy if you ain't
Yeah.
hydrated enough and you're staring like at a screen for hours on end.
Yeah.
Like,
these things can really affect you and really throws your mood off. So that's what I got to say about all that. Love the fact that there was another extra 24 hours to the raid.
yeah.
I thought that was really nice. I hope that they potentially look into doing that in the future. I can see both possibilities being a thing. One, I can see the 48-hour clear being a second emblem. and that being more work for Bungie on the back end to kind of calculate all that stuff, but their player base is growing, and it is growing a lot. Witch Queen is being heralded as one of the best expansions for this game. Period.
Dead game.
Dead game. For Destiny 2 at least, this is the best expansion that has ever come out for Destiny 2.
It's up there with me. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
I think it's tough. I don't know if it's better than you weren't around for Forsaken.
I was not around for Forsaken, but they did in this expansion. They nailed a lot of things right.
Yeah.
So for me, for what I've been there for, this is for me the top.
I think it's definitely. I think it's definitely got credence to be there for sure.
Yeah, I would say King's Fall was the best for Destiny 1. That's just my take on it. So that being said, they've gotten a lot of publicity with all of this. Lots of game journalists and stuff have been just singing its praises. It's been getting a lot of stuff. So I imagine as their player base begins to grow, that they could extend that raid race to 48 hours. Just because of how large their player base would end up becoming at that time. But I can also see them not doing it because, one, it is a coveted prize, having that, that special emblem. I believe they said, what was it, like, in the TWAB they talk about it. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But they listed off the amount of people that finished day one. And that's over doubled for day two. Like, it was a staggering number that finished on day two. It was the night sleep, and it was the comeback. That's huge for different teams, and I'm curious to see how they handle that going forward. I personally would like to see that 48-hour finish. I also think that people who finish in the 24 hours shouldn't feel any less of an accomplishment. So that's why I think there should be a 48-hour emblem as well. Yeah. Because if you're able to finish in 24 hours, hats off to you. That's outstanding. You deserve the prize of a Flex on 'em emblem that no one else gets unless they did what you did.
And look,
I do think
there's not a lot of stuff like that in Destiny anymore. Everybody can
really
get everything. You can take somebody. We got plenty of people that I play trials with in our clan that never played trials before or don't regularly, yourself included. And go in and get you some trials weapons that you otherwise may not have ever gotten. But it's accessible. It's there for you. It's doable.
Yeah.
And there's realistically, it seems like the world's first emblem is really the only thing. Not world's first. I'm sorry. Day one emblem is the only thing in the game that not everybody
is the least accessible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's arguments to be made there. Should they do something? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. A lot of, I guess they were talking about back in the day, like a lot of FOMO from Destiny 1, where people got things that other people couldn't, and that happened. It was Destiny 1 was a different game, and there was a lot of stuff like that. But I think that there needs to be something for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I mean, I could even see there'd be like a switch to flip in a raid, and you could flip it to contest mode, but then you have a time trial. Like, your team has to finish the raid in contest mode by this time, and you can get an emblem.
Sure.
Again, I don't want to take away from the gravity that is getting a day one clear. Like, that is something that I think everyone can agree that's outstanding. Even if what if they did that? The 48-hour emblem is an emblem that you can get by switching the raid to contest mode and then beating it within a certain time.
Dude, I know a lot of people that would love a contest mode modifier just in general.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's difficult.
Because you have the master modifier, but that still doesn't cap your power. Master is more difficult.
The
enemies are more difficult. There's more, like in some of them, like more champions or whatever. But you're still a god going in there.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Contest mode makes you feel pretty puny.
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel weaker. But that's something that that could be a serious conversation for them in the future, like, and further down the pipeline. I don't think we're gonna see that level of change for some time.
Yeah.
But I feel like if enough people, sound off, like that might be something they're willing to look at.
Right.
But anyway, that's my take on all the stuff raid wise. I would love to hear back how other people's raid experience were. Join our Discord, talk about it a little bit. I'm very interested to see. Also, we have lots of people in our Discord that want clears. I know Legend and I talked about potentially getting together and doing a clear with all of our people in our Discord.
Yes.
So that is something I still want to do. But let's get to the swab.
Yeah.
Trials is back. Trials came back this weekend.
Let's see here.
And it apparently is sweaty.
Dude, I'll tell you. It starts off with the Vow of the Disciple raid. Just to counter the report, and I'll just quickly go over that. Clan Elysium on their well-deserved win. Salta Grepo, Slap, Kyrios, Moople, Quaz, and Cruz banded together and strategized, shot, and dodged, dunked, and solved their way to victory. One kick to the face at a time. Oof. But
yes.
So they got that, which is awesome.
I want that to be an execution now.
The kick to the face execution.
The kick to the face. Great. Just bang! It's like, I'm the raid boss now.
And right here we have some details. Vow of the Disciple raid. 48-hour stats. Let's break it down. Total players that entered the raid, 546,616. That's a half a million
That's insane.
people. A half a million people. Over half a million people jumped into that raid. On the first 48 hours, yes, but players that cleared the acquisition, which is the first encounter, 270,000. I love this number. I love how this number just goes down.
Oh yeah, it's like huge numbers. Nothing.
Players that cleared acquisition, 270K. Players that cleared caretaker, 131K. Players that cleared exhibition, 80K. Unique players that cleared the full raid, 32,621. And
so, by contrast, that is a huge drop from the full 500,000 that ran in. Not even 100,000. Not even 50,000 people cleared the whole raid.
Yeah. My favorite stat. We got a couple here. Total enemies defeated is over 1 billion, which is awesome. Guardians.
Trinity Ghoul. Trinity Ghoul was the monster that did most of that.
I love Trinity Ghoul so much.
So good.
I love it. Total Guardian deaths over 70 million, and then total hours spent in Vow of the Disciple contest mode. This is huge. Over 4 million hours spent in contest mode.
Yep.
And that's the number right there. That's the crazy thing, right? So.
Yep.
So if you've signed up for Bungie Newsletter, stay tuned for your own #raid complete email on Tuesday, where they'll offer you the raid jacket, which we've talked about it. And we're not going to talk about it anymore.
I mean, yeah, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, welcome aboard.
So, moving on, we're going to talk about trials. We're going to talk about Iron Banner. All is fair in Trials and Loot. A new season means a good excuse to add some new incentives for PvP activities like Iron Banner and Trials of Osiris. So we have added a few new weapons for players to earn. There is also a new shiny legendary scout rifle for players. Oh, they fixed it. Before it said exotic. Okay. Cool, they fixed it. There's also a new shiny legendary scout rifle for players to earn in Trials of Osiris to make PvP Dad proud. Who wouldn't want to make Shax proud? Come on, alongside a returning favorite auto rifle. Yeah, dude, I saw somebody on Twitter talking about this yesterday, and they were like, I just don't like this new scout rifle. I just don't like it. I don't want it. I don't like it. And I'm like, dude, maybe it's my inner dad, but I love 260 RPM scouts are my favorite weapons in the game.
So, clear this up for me.
Yes.
Bungie talks about it a lot. What is dad in this? Because I'm a dad now, and I still don't get the joke.
So, I think it's tied to people that aren't necessarily considered super sweats, and they use weapons.
They're just casual. Okay.
I think casual is a better word for it.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, dad rifles become the.
I mean, so that rifle, I saw one of actually our other guy, Blood got it. I had 3 trials engrams that I then spent on summoners. Yeah, summoners. The auto rifle. I spent those on an auto rifle because I'm like, oh yeah, I like the auto rifle. Really should have just opened up randomly and hoped to get a pulse, the scout rifle, because I like the way it looks. It
Mhm.
sounds cool. It looks great. Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting my hands on one of those.
I've played enough trials today to earn some trials engrams, and
Mhm.
and the trials reward that I got for my 7 round wins or whatever, I can't remember what it was. You get like the one reward. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
you're technically like your 3 win reward or whatever.
Hmm.
And it's that scout Aisha's Embrace.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
I got it. I unlocked it.
I
And
might be jumping in today then.
Right. I got it. I immediately. Well, maybe wait till tomorrow because flawless pool.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That'll be nice.
but
Get that out of the way.
I got that, and I immediately said, "Hey, Dirt, let's go to the tower real quick." So we went to the tower, and I got those engrams, and I immediately started just turning in.
Cashing them in.
Aisha's
There you
Embraces.
go.
And I got 2 of them were almost identical. They were both 4th times the charm and unrelenting, which is meh.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
PvE, that's real good.
I want to give you something interesting though. It can
Yeah.
roll both 4th times the charm and triple tap.
Ooh.
Ammo for days.
Yeah,
Right?
that's nice.
For
That's real nice.
Because triple tap, land 3 precision hits, load a round back in the magazine.
Mhm.
4th time, land 4 precision hits, load 2 rounds back in the magazine.
So that's you're just feeding the fire.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
So that's interesting. There's this funny video of Rick Caucus using it on some strike boss where it's got like just a big yellow crit, and just unloading into it and just feeding ammo, and he burns through. I say burn, you have unlimited primary ammo now, but he's just mag dump is like almost 120, 130 rounds or something like that. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
But
so before we continue, I also want to point out Rick Caucus,
oh boy,
during the raid, was his team's worst enemy. If they had dropped him, they probably would have finished way faster. He was running up to bosses and punching them. Because he's like, hey, do it for the gram, and would die and just cause his team to wipe. I don't know if that was happening before World's First was declared. If I was on his team, I would have been super upset. Because to run in with a full stack team and to have one moron on the team, like, do it for the gram, you're out of the team.
it was actually a
You're
great
not coming
Rick
back.
Caucus. That was a great impression right there.
So stupid.
Yeah, do it for the gram. Anyways, moving on.
Our mutual hatred aside for Rick Caucus. Put that aside. So back to trials.
Funny. I just want to point out, funny story. I don't think his intro would be done yet. We're 50 minutes in almost, and and I don't think his intro would be done yet. Anyways, so
Nice.
yes, returning favorite auto rifle. So the summoner is back in the loot pool. Also, another one they didn't note it in here, but the Astral Horizon, the shotgun, is also back in the loot pool. So
Nice.
that's a big one.
Bloodbane said, how about the 3 of us do it tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be on for part of the day tomorrow for sure.
So tomorrow, I'll be streaming, and the 3 of us will run some trials.
Let's do that. We can do that.
Just like old times.
Just like old times. Let's move on. Trials will be returning this Friday, which is this past Friday now. Yesterday. Let's check out what's on the way. All 6 weapons of the upcoming Trials loot pool will have the Alacrity and One Quiet Moment origin traits. One Quiet Moment being your strict your Crucible perk, and Alacrity being the Trials perk. Alacrity increases the reload speed, stability, aim assist, and range when running solo or as the last Guardian standing, which if you're like me and you're not the best PvP player is a nice bit of help. One Quiet Moment grants players increased reload speed when not in active combat. So Alacrity does work if you're playing like solo Rumble.
Right.
Or something like that. It's really crazy. And it kind of pisses me off because now I have to grind. I have my God Roll Messenger. Now I have to grind a new God Roll Messenger.
Right, because you have to get that trait on it now.
I have to. I don't have
which
a
is
choice.
so annoying.
Scott,
I love the new traits, but I hate that means all existing God rolls are now gone. Because if you want something better, you now have to go work for it some more.
Yeah.
But
that's fine.
Anyway, moving on.
Scout Rifle, 260 RP Rapid Fire Frame, Aisha's Embrace. Keep an eye out for the off-requested triple tap 4 times the charm combo, as well as some spicy options like Tunnel Vision, Multi-Kill Clip. which I actually got that roll. Auto rifle returning,
Nice.
600 RPM adaptive. The Summoner, this returning classic, has some less popular perks trimmed from its perk pool, replaced by new favorites like Heating Up and Focus Fury. So that's pretty
Sweet.
cool. Summoner's really great. I have the only adept one I've ever gotten is Overflow Rampage. I love using it in PvE.
That's a sick run.
It's a sick roll. It's really good. And it's good in PvP too. Like it's really good.
Oh yeah.
And so after trials this week, I think they did this strategically. After trials this week, on reset this following week, which is what day is that? It's
Monday.
the 15th.
Well, Tuesday.
The 15th.
Yeah.
Iron Banner will return to light those flames next Tuesday. Here's what wolves can look forward to. All 6 weapons in this Iron Banner pool will have the Skulking Wolf trait, which activates during the hunt with enhanced radar and removal from enemy radar when you land those epic final blows with it. All returning Iron Banner weapons will have updated perk pools, including the new perks from the current season. The reason I mentioned they did this strategically is because I think whenever we have Iron Banner, they don't have trials that week. That was a change they made last season, and it was a change that I really appreciated, I really liked. And basically, I think what they're doing is they're taking the data from trials this week, and they are going to look at it and, to see what, changes I think we can make. No, that's my own personal opinion. I could be wrong about that. But it seems to me that's why we're doing this, because they usually do Iron Banner at the end of the month or beginning of the month. I can't remember. And we're like,
it's one of the two.
Right in the middle of the month right now. So
yeah,
it's just kind of strange.
It's just been one content drop after the next.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been one huge thing after another.
And you can see here the new hand cannon, which is a 180 precision frame hand cannon, and the sword, which is a vortex frame.
I actually got the sword.
I did too. The fucking lightsaber, man, it looks awesome.
So I wanna point this out.
Yep.
Bungie. Another sword now has the vortex frame. Furthering, the Warlock sword is useless. Why? Well, guess what? We have this sword. We have the sword from Zur's Menagerie, because that's what it is. And we have the Fallen Guillotine. That's 3 swords that every class can equip that has the unique perk of Whirlwind. You know what else is unique?
Go ahead.
That slam that the Titan sword has. No other sword has that. You know what else is unique? That cool little dash attack that the Hunter sword has.
Or just the intrinsic movement that you get from it.
Yeah. You guys run like Naruto, and the Titan is the scariest thing ever if you see that coming running around a corner at you. Why can't the Warlock sword make you float when you sprint? Why can't you throw it? Why can't you do this and it fights for you?
Being that it's basically a lightsaber, I would have loved to see it be a... Hi, Ray Ray. Can I help you? I would have loved to see it be a lightweight frame like the Hunter sword.
I really hope that the sword glows.
It does.
I hope that it glows when the wolf pack thing starts. Whenever like the Hunt of the Wolves is on, like it just starts to glow and it catches on fire. That would be sweet.
I'll say the blade itself is glowing, so.
Yeah, but like I would love to see like it actually catch on fire. Yeah.
Let's move on here. So yeah, I've gotten like 6 rolls of that hand cannon already.
Oh really? Nice.
Yeah. So and I've gotten some that are okay. I'm excited. I've got
What's the frame?
It's a precision frame, 180.
Okay. Actually, that's actually my favorite roll for a hand cannon.
Yeah.
I love prosperity, and what's the other one that you can get for Iron Banner? Not Iron Banner, but
Crucible. Oh, Survivor's Epitaph.
I just got one of those the other day, and I was like, "Oh, I actually really like this. Why does it feel so familiar?" And someone's like, "It's your prosperity hand cannon." I'm like, there it is.
Survivor's Epitaph is like my favorite hand cannon in the game. So
very stable.
So we'll go over those real quick. Hand cannon 180 precision frame. Frontier's Cry has some fun perks, including steady hand and compulsive reloader, plus Iron Reach to let it exceed the range available on most precision hand cannons.
That's cool.
I wish they would have let it roll Iron Reach and Rangefinder, but sadly no.
That's a little OP. What's the element on it?
Okay, I think you're wrong, by the way. Sword, Vortex frame, Razor's Edge. This is the first Void Vortex frame. I think this is one of... No, that's a caster frame I'm thinking of. Vortex frame.
Vortex is the spin.
Yeah, I know, but they said first Void Vortex frame. Oh, in a while. My bad. I should have just read a little more. This has some potent perk combinations like Wellspring or Unrelenting combined with Chain Reaction.
Chain Reaction's a cool perk on a sword. You cut something and then it blows up.
Mm-hmm. That is pretty cool.
What's the
Unrelenting
element
too.
for the hand cannon? Is it a primary, like kinetic?
No, it's. I want to say it was solar. I could be
Okay.
wrong. Give me just a second, and I will tell you. Uh,
Yeah, I was curious because I'm like, oh, like they make a point to say that this one, the sword is void, but they don't say anything about the hand cannon. So I was
yeah,
curious.
it's solar. Yeah, so it's
Solar.
just like
Okay.
prosperity.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh, and one more thing. One more thing. Don't forget that both the Eternity and Vostok maps have returned. We also have a new map
Yeah.
coming up on the horizon, but we're not quite ready to talk about that yet. Patience Young Grasshopper will be talking about this in a later date. I'm hoping that's coming this season.
Yeah. 2 maps this season alone we're getting for Crucible.
Yeah, we got Vostok and Eternity. I've played on both of them. Love Vostok. I actually had like a 30 something in O game the other day on Vostok.
Nice.
Because it's like it's my sniping map, it's my sniping haven, and Eternity is kind of blah, whatever. And I'm not going to go over a lot of this other stuff, the hot fix stuff. We can go over that.
Oh, that's all right.
Basically, I do want to say this about the hot fix. They fixed the Ascendant alloy thing finally,
Oh, finally, yeah.
so that's done. That is fixed.
So, like for the last
And
2 weeks, you haven't been able to buy Ascendant alloys. You
right,
can go to
so
Raoul now, and you can pick up the 2 you missed.
yeah, exactly. You can pick up 2 of them, which is awesome. So Gambit focusing, they made it cheaper because it was too expensive. The glaive mods were enabled, but were unable to be obtained, and that like all of a sudden, like just doing random things, I have like all of my
Oh
glaive
yeah.
mods now.
hmm
Depreciated weapon telemetries were still obtainable. Yeah, nice. Players no longer blocked from interacting with armor or weapon sockets until
Yep.
the rest of the UI fully loads in. So, yeah.
Oh, we'll say this. This was something else that was cool about the raid.
Yes.
Speaking of armor mods, when you got, and I hope this is a permanent thing they do, if you got an armor mod in the raid, you could then immediately socket all of the new mods.
Yeah, I think they did that
They
just for
were
contest mode. I think.
right, and I'm hoping that stays that way, because that was a nice little added bonus to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you weren't gonna find the mods that early. There's 2 hidden chests in the game that give you those mods.
Mm-hmm.
Day one, no one's if unless you're like that's your sole purpose to find those
Mm-hmm.
things. Well, really hard to do. That was really nice. That just to be able to, I didn't get a gun. Okay, but you got 2 armor pieces with decent stat rolls. Yeah,
Right.
throw those bad boys on. Put those mods in. Let's run it. So that was pretty sweet.
Dude,
But anyways,
those mods would have been helpful too.
they were actually they
Yeah,
were very helpful.
I got a helmet the first day because all I did
Hey,
was that first encounter.
oh,
I got a helmet.
I got the linear fuse rifle from Encounter 1. I got the gauntlets from Encounter 2. I got the SMG from Encounter 3. Here's how ridiculous that was. My SMG that I got from Encounter 3, used it the entirety of the day for the final encounter. Walked away with over 1,300 kills.
Nice.
Because that was the only weapon I was using, and that's how ridiculous it was.
Well,
40 rounds in the magazine. I had Steady Hand and what's the other one? It's the new perk for it. If you do damage with all 3 of
stats for
your
all.
weapons, and then you use it, you do more damage. And then I love
Fury.
yeah, it's like it looks like 2 bullets and like 1 extra bullet. I don't know. I'll have to look, but just pull it up real fast. Have it here on my. Oh wow, there's making me select wish list. I don't want any of these to be in my selected wish list. I'm using Little Light, and it's like, oh, pick what you want for like I don't care. Equipment. Okay, so my SMG was called the Submission,
Mm-hmm.
and it ran with Steady Hand and Bait and Switch. So Bait and Switch is dealing damage with all equipped weapons within a short period of time gives this weapon a damage boost. They're pretty generous with the time, because if you deal, it's within 10 seconds of each other. If you deal damage with all 3 weapons in 10 seconds, you get 15 seconds of free damage, or it could be 10. I could be wrong. And then when you build this weapon, that lasts significantly longer. And then the Soul Drinker perk of that was amazing because you gain health based on the number of hits you do before reloading. It has a 40-round magazine. And I was just spraying across the field, and it's stupidly accurate. It's a really nice gun. And then it has a reload masterwork that I was using. that's what my role was, and I've gotten a couple other good ones. I think one of the other ones I got was it's Overload and Frenzy.
Yeah.
So I've gotten it to have over 70 rounds in the magazine,
Jesus.
and this thing just goes. It's so good.
Overload Frenzy.
I,
That's a heck of a roll. That's awesome.
I cannot wait to build this thing. So by far, this is my favorite weapon from the raid. The pulse rifle here is fantastic. Um, I had the linear fusion rifle. I also got the glaive later, but yeah.
Yeah.
anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there real
Yeah.
fast. Probably just derail us. I'm sorry, but it's like, oh, cool.
See, make sure this is up. All right. So we went through all of that. Bungie name change. You can go log into your Bungie account and change your name. This is a one-time thing that you can do. Any name that you want to change it to before, just to be funny. I did change mine recently to Xcalion, the legendary.
There you go.
I was gonna do just Xcalion, but then I thought everybody calls me Ledge.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to have that in there somewhere.
There you do.
So one of the last things. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I'll follow up.
I was gonna say all the crap that's going on in the world right now. Ukraine. Bungie decided to release an emblem dedicated to Ukraine and blue and gold, which is Ukraine's colors on their flag, and a cool emblem there. I don't really know what that emblem is representative of. If it's just from Destiny, or if it's from the game, but there's a free emblem code there, JVGVNTGGG. Go to your Bungie account, put that in, and it's free to you to claim.
And it just shows support for everything going on with Ukraine.
Exactly.
And just standing with them as, like, you know, the Guardians do. We go to people in need and we stand with them. So
for sure.
Cool stuff. I do want to touch briefly on, we're coming up on our last little bit here, but I'll touch briefly on the fact they've hinted at what they're planning on doing for Lightfall a little bit. First off, not next DLC, next season, when this current season is over, we are getting Arc 3.0. And then Solar immediately after. So before Lightfall hits, we will have all of our new abilities, and which excites me immensely. But they did touch a little bit on stuff with Lightfall. I forget what journalist was able to, well, what games journalist stuff got to sit down with DMG and a couple others, and they basically sat down and talked like, okay, so this has been a really good expansion. You know, where do you see things going off in the future? And they touched on they've been wanting to close up some story threads they've been leaving hanging since Destiny 1. They mentioned Sabathun, they mentioned the pyramid ships, they mentioned a bunch of stuff, and we're slowly beginning to see all of that come to the end here. With everything we finish up, we're planting seeds for the future. We want to leave some stuff unanswered because we want more storyline to go with. But Sabathun was such a big character they had mentioned in the past, they wanted to finish it up. That being said, though, the big thing people really enjoyed, because this is one of the things I really enjoyed, was the Legendary campaign.
Yeah.
Being able to go through that and being end game ready within 9 missions was wonderful. It felt challenging, but never impossible. It scaled with you having more friends in there, so you could play by yourself a little easier. It was cool. They are bringing that back for Lightfall. They've already confirmed that's what they're doing. There's going to be a normal mode. There's going to be a challenge mode. Love that idea. I love the ability to go back, even though, like, I've been playing with my dad and a few other of our friends. My dad was playing through on easy mode, and my Titan then began to play with him. So I'd done a couple missions on easy mode, but I want to go back and get the hard mode done. If you go back and do hard mode, it still drops that extra chest. So even afterwards, you can go back through and pick up the extra loot you may never got. Or even someone who's finished it, on all their characters, like, I don't want to go back. Free upgrade modules, bro. Go back through. Guaranteed drops.
Ton of them.
It's totally worth. Man, that sounded really bad. Just like, I really did it. Totally worth, bro. But no, there was a very, very nice, very unique change they made. I love it. I love the daily heroic story mission as well.
Yeah.
Which they kind of did for the Scarlet Keep one. they kind of had that as well, but it wasn't quite the same as what it is now, where
Right.
you can get like high stat armor and different things. That all being said, looking forward to the future to see what comes up next with all of this stuff. Blood did say that, to hold that thought, we might be out during lunchtime tomorrow,
Yeah.
early birthday celebration. So still would like to do a little bit of trials tomorrow as far as streaming goes.
Yep.
With all of that, we'll stay posted to our Discord and Twitter, and we'll work something out.
Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah. No, I'm stoked. I'm excited. This season's been great so far. This raid was awesome. And again, we'll give everybody a chance to kind of get in there for themselves, and we'll start talking about the actual stuff next week. And
because wouldn't next week be a month since it's come out?
The expansion?
Yeah. It'll been a month since Witch Queen dropped.
Close to it. It dropped on the 22nd. So next week will be the 19th. So that'll be almost a month. Yeah.
So I think that's a fair time to go ahead and talk about spoilers and stuff. And so next week we're gonna just focus on the story. Yeah. And then if the TWAB is super juicy,
I think we've got, like you mentioned Lightfall coming up. You mentioned that we have our new subclasses coming up very soon. Mm-hmm. And I'm super stoked about that, of course. You know me, I tend to like to run solar more than anything, so I'm stoked for that. I'm kind of sad it's last, but it's what it is. Seeing what they've done with these void changes has me so excited because look, and yes, they, for the love of God, they do need to roll some things back, okay? They absolutely do. The amount of invisibility spam inside of PvP right now is, I'll say, a problem. It's obnoxious. And especially in our competitive scene right now, Trials, I was playing comp before Trials, they need to do something about it. Like, I don't know that in PvP, I'll just be real, I think the easiest way to fix it, okay, is in PvP, I'm not saying in PvE, because we've seen that they've been able to make standalone changes. In PvP, you don't come off the radar when you're invisible. I think that's the only way to really fix it. I think that's the best way to fix it. And
watch them when Arc subclass comes out. Every step you take generates a pulse on the ground and lets you see people invisible.
I mean, maybe. And
then solar, you feel the heat in the air, and it shows a silhouette. It's like, cool,
something
instant
maybe
counter.
maybe they have something like that. I don't know, but I'm just know for right now this is a bit of a problem, and you know me, I'm not really one to complain about a lot of things. I tend to just get in and go with the flow, and and I do my own thing. Right now, playing Trials, I'm still running solar. I'm running Goldie. I'm running throwing knives. I'm loving like earlier, throw a knife across the map, boom, dome somebody. Like, nothing feels better than that to me. I don't care how invisible I am. Or yesterday, I was running a Trials with Dirty, and I was playing invisibility, and I will say, being able to pop up behind an entire team and just be able to unload my shotgun and kill them all
feels dirty, right?
It feels wrong. It feels wrong. But
they didn't have a chance.
Didn't have a chance. No chance was given.
And then the other two classes, if you're not playing Hunter, the other two classes can get invisibility, but you have to perform an execution.
Yeah.
That is a PvE ability. You don't get to execute people in Crucible. I would love to see them do
finisher?
Even truck. Yeah, finisher.
I say that because Hunters used to have what was called flawless execution.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a thing anymore.
That's an ability.
So,
right. I would love to see, maybe for like high-end content like that, just have it light locked. Mm-hmm. You don't get your abilities. Or you get it once per round. But that would also encourage, like, spam all your abilities at the beginning, hope to kill your entire team, and then, I don't know, maybe like one round to get your recovery ability. Like, it's random. I don't know. There are a lot of things they can do with it. I imagine they're going to do something with it. Honestly, it is easier to upscale something, like make it really powerful at the start, and then tone it down, than it is to start off something super weak and then try to push the buttons up.
Right.
So it's easier to be like, oh, this is up here, and slowly adjust to where it's a good balance than it is to start it down here where no one wants to play it, and then try to get readings because no one's playing it. You don't see anything. You don't know where to go. So, I mean, the same thing with stasis, honestly. But I think having stasis so powerful in the beginning was a PR move.
Yeah.
Because people weren't very excited for Beyond Light having a new thing that freezes opponents, be the top, and then be dominant in every single competitive scene. Like having that was a PR move.
Yeah.
Because if you roll into Crucible and you love to play Crucible and you get frozen at every single turn, you're gonna throw down the $30 it was to buy the expansion to get the
Right.
ability to be an ice monster. So that's my take on it. I feel like, I mean, I do not play a lot of PvP. I probably will jump in the trials this weekend and maybe next weekend because I want that scout rifle. Actually, no, next week is St. Patrick's Day. It's gonna be a busy weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bartender.
Drinky drinks.
But I can see them working in some changes, but just not immediately. It probably will be like a month or so, or they might just surprise me and launch something next week.
Maybe.
They have done crazier things.
I think
yeah.
me and some of the guys we were talking about maybe getting in and doing a raid. I'm smart. I got my Titan raid ready. Spent
There you
a lot this evening, yesterday evening, and earlier today doing that. So my Titan is like almost 1550 right now. So I'm ready to get in there and do that and hopefully get some cool loot.
Yeah, I think my Titan's also ready. So if you guys have an extra spot, hit me up.
I'm sure, man. All right, well, Sam, do you have anything you want to shout out before we hop off of here?
I just switched over to Crunchyroll. Funimation is getting phased out and got some Crunchyroll stuff. So there's quite a bit on the calendar to watch. I'm very interested in this reincarnated as an assassin dies and he gets reincarnated as an assassin in the next world. So it's like an older, like really pro assassin. The first 10 minutes of it is him murdering sex trading guys. So that immediately caught my attention. I was like, oh, good. I like this guy already. So I'm looking forward to watching that.
Me and this guy, same page.
Yeah, exactly. Only cure for pedophilia is lead. Bullets.
Ray, Jesus Christ, my cat.
Looking forward to doing that. I'm gonna start playing Elden Ring really soon. I kind of already touched on it a little bit. I was waiting until this raid was over to start playing some Elden Ring. I will be streaming that. I know a lot of people have been playing it. A lot of people have been streaming it. People probably see memes about it all the time. This is the kind of game I love to play. I'm going to be doing that soon.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch Batsam42, I know this is something that I personally want to do, and I imagine you want to do this as well. Join our Discord. Get a raid team together. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So if you join our Discord, we'll put something together. We'll pick a day together, the two of us. Maybe even blood is available. We can Sherpa some people through. We'll have a good time with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything you got?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of, I saw that, the Crunchyroll thing, it kind of makes me sad. I'm a huge fan of the Funimation app and all that. But, it is what it is, I guess. Crunchyroll's great. It's a bigger catalog, so I'm okay with that.
It is, and they're getting all the Funimation stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm down with that. But no, I finished Gundam Iron